This is Rhonda Brooks with Farm Journal Media, and I'm here today with Steve Pickle, who's the Northern U.S. Sales Manager for SFP. And Steve, tell me a little bit, what are you trying to get out to growers at this time of year as we head into the spring season?
Well, one of the things, Rhonda, we're sharing all of our yield data that we had last year, which was very, very good. Both Avail and Nutrisphere had very good results, and sharing that with the growers and getting our message out that we have two products that will help protect their phosphate and their nitrogen and just make them more efficient in the soil.
Yeah, and I know that you work a really large area across the Midwest, Steve. What kind of weather conditions are you expecting as we go into the spring?
Well, you know, all the way from Sydney, Montana, all the way east, we've had record snows, and even all the way down south. So there's a lot of moisture out there. Our soils, I live in Fargo, North Dakota, and we've got record amounts of moisture going into the fall, and then we've got 60 plus inches of snow already. So we're gearing up for a flood this spring, and a lot of areas are the same way, just saturated soils, which really is going to put pressure on that nitrogen that maybe already applied last fall, or going to make it so that we have wet conditions going into the spring. So that's one thing that we got to be cognizant about, is making sure we're protecting that nitrogen that we do apply.
Yeah, and I realize that, you've said that is important. I think the industry overall, farmers are keying into that importance of taking care of that nitrogen. Are there any management practices or any way, that in which the product works that you'd want to talk about?
Well, we work on all three losses that nitrogen has. Volatilization, if you're in a no-till situation or anywhere, you have to lay nitrogen out on top of the soil. And then once we get that nitrogen in the soil, we protect it from leaching or denitrification, where we have saturated fields. We lose a lot of nitrogen that way, and we certainly have seen nitrogen losses across the whole upper Midwest throughout last year's growing season, just because of all the water that we had and the pressure on that nitrogen.
How quickly, do these products go to work quickly, or tell me a little bit about, as far as if I use them, am I going to keep all my product in my field, or what could I expect?
Yeah, Nutrisphere is not a slow release on the nitrogen. It's going to protect that nitrogen through a system of using a high charge to collect certain ions in the soil that contribute to loss. So volatilization needs nickel for the urease, and so we're going to sequester that nickel just around that nitrogen to keep that from happening. In the same way, once it gets in the soil, there's some bacteria that need certain ions, and we're going to protect it from there. So 100%, the nitrogen is 100% available to the crop when it needs it, but we're going to protect it whenever and keep it there for the plant when it needs it.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Steve.
Thank you.